Thinking, look at that much.
That's all good. Filmmaker wants to know about deer.
And how about auburn hair? I think there's an ulterior motive to this. It's not even tape in that camera. Obviously.
No, so you tried Drew and Carmen.
Okay, yes. What have I tried in the past? Friends, actually just, frankly, nothing concrete. A friend, it just so happened that there were some friends, well-meaning friends, that thought they might set me up with someone. So lately, it's been more blind dates than not.
Blind dates from friends.
From friends, that's right.
And what are the problems with blind dates?
This
The
is a
blind part.
This is a huge, I think, both for girls and guys, I think that's a huge issue. Okay, my most recent blind date,
Okay.
last weekend. I had a well-meaning friend set me up with someone, again, a nice guy. I can't say he wasn't, a smart guy. But I guess no sparks. Yeah, he completely like a different background completely. He was East Asian, or I'm sorry, East Indian, and follically challenged completely.
Like,
So
what's the little...
is he East Indian? Yeah. And you know what?
Very sensitive.
You definitely sound like him. And I hope I don't come across
As a racist?
as a racist,
No,
because
you're not
I'll tell you,
racist. No.
I'll tell you this. I've been attracted to people, seriously, who have been of a different color. It's just, again, it was the
He
whole
was a dud
package.
Indian.
He was a dud Indian. He was
Nice, there was no spark.
It was just so smart. It's plain and simple. It's so hard to analyze this.
He's a dud man. He just happened to be Indian. No, he wasn't a dud.
Wasn't a dud. He was a smart
It just
guy.
wasn't for you.
Yeah, just not that kind of.
So there's no lack of dating potential out there. It's the quality, or is there a quality and quantity issue?
I think it's both. I think it's both. If you're female.
For what?
If you're female.
If you're female.
So with males, there's quality and quantity, and so much quantity. But with females,
I think there's
less-
quality. I don't know. I said there's quantity. The quality is all over the place. So the women that are out there, there seems to be more of them, but the quality is really. So for instance, any woman under 33 years old,
but if you were 33 years old, you'd be singing a different
But if you're 33
tune.
years old, you're still in that, you're not.
It's just you're an old fart now, so you want somebody a bit older.
No, well, it's it's the 33-year-old thing. It's the kids. There's a maturity. It's right around 30, women change. In the 20s, women, and the 30s, women are different women.
And so, what is that transition in guys? Is there a magic number?
But at 35 was when I really started figuring out who I was. And I'm guessing that might be true of a lot of people. And I think the point is how could you ever really be ready for a relationship until you know who you are? Because otherwise, you're getting involved in something that might not be right for you. So as the famous songster Sting said, don't get married till you're 40.
Is that what he said?
He was interviewed. He said he's
I
40.
have a question. Have you gone to like the extent of reading a lot of books on dating and
God knows there's enough ad.
There
Have
are
you
no
read any of
books.
these books?
You know what? Not a lot. I actually do a lot of reading more on relationships, on personal growth.
So like which books would you say you've read?
You know, actually, sorry, there is one that was a great one recently that I read, that I picked up when I was traveling, called First Impressions. And it's written by a gal who I believe has a column, a dating column in New York City. And in fact, she has a website now, a dating service called greatboyfriends.com. And why this one is interesting, I can't believe I remember this. Why this one is interesting is because the guys and gals on this website have been recommended. It's not just any, you have to be recommended.
I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could be recommended by your sister, your ex-girlfriend
So
or
basically, you
boyfriend.
have to have at least one friend in your world.
It's really recommended.
Right.
Yeah. And it's, yeah, I guess there's that extra added cushioning and security, I suppose, that if someone's referred.
And but they, I'm
Do they
imagining
leave you the contact information of the person that recommended, so you can contact them and say, why did you recommend?
What they do is they have a picture of
This mom?
both. Well, I suppose you could email them because there's a picture of both the recommended bachelor or bachelorette and the person who's recommended them, and a little bio on both.
but you can have more than one recommendation, so you can have multiple people recommending you.
They don't. I don't think they have enough
See, I
room.
think that would be valuable. Somebody with 5 or 6
I
recommendations.
think so too.
I've heard about this. I've heard about this website because it's been ex-girlfriends recommending their boyfriends
Yeah.
on this. Saying
Yeah.
he's a really great guy. Didn't work out for us, but he deserves
So why is it
this
called Great
type of woman.
Boyfriends? There's also girlfriends.
Oh, there's great. Sorry, I mean, obviously, I would be
That's
looking
the side
at
you
the
went
great
to.
boyfriend. Yeah, but yes, there is. There's great
So-
However,
So here's the question.
sorry, are we different?
Why, no, this is actually,
Take 24.
why haven't you tried any of these things?
Oh, why?
What stopped you?
I have actually gone on recently, only because I've just recently found out about it. That's why I haven't done it sooner.
But
I
Lavalite
just
Plus, I
recently
knew about that.
Lavalite, okay. There-
So yeah, like why wouldn't you?
I
or why-
recently read this book, First Impressions, on my last trip, and so that's what got me to check out this website, greatboyfriends.com. Prior to that, though, yeah, there was the one here in Toronto that's well known is Lavalite, and probably about, I guess maybe 5-6 years ago is when I first started hearing about it, and internet dating is probably a lot of people realize now who have gone on it. It's changed a lot, even in the last 5 years. So people, and I guess just from my perspective, I was hearing a lot of horror stories 5-6 years ago from friends, patients that had got onto this website. And that, frankly, was the main reason I didn't even want to touch something like that. And also, I'm kind of shy. I don't know if I want my picture on, or then anyway, for the whole wide world.
How do you feel about your face on a 100-foot screen in a theater?
I know, right?
Shy.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that.
Well, because you were saying that before you thought it would be like you suggested things were different 5 years ago. Are you saying they are
You know
different
what?
now?
I
and
have
your
to tell you,
impressions
in
now?
this book on First Impressions, the author has said the same thing. She's noticed a huge trend. Yeah, it's much better. People, it's cool to be internet dating right now. Whereas 5 or 6 years ago, you had the duds and the creepos. And I'm telling you, I heard so many creepo stories from patients on people that they thought were pretty normal, and and been out 5-6 times, and then situations where they find out the guy's bi. For example. So, I mean, that's enough to turn anybody off. But now,
So you never even looked into it.
no, certainly not.
So you're probably going to soon.
I'm interested in Just Lunch, actually. That one kind of caught my eye. Yeah. So, I think so. It's catered more, as I say, more to business professionals, and I think a more mature crowd.
What do you think about the service? And I've only heard about it, but the service that you pay a tremendous amount of money for. So I think it's like 7 to 10 grand. And they only hook you up with people who are in the same income bracket that you earn. So same or above. So if you're earning 150, 200K, they'll only put you into that. They'll set you up with other doctors or lawyers or something like that. But there's a price of admission. You know, if you want a doctor, you got to be one, or you got to be something that is of the same income bracket.
I haven't heard of this service, but what do I think of it?
I mean, you would expect it.
Let's call this just a job.
Well, it brings up a question. What's it worth to you? At what level?
You know what?
How much money is a
Maybe-
successful relationship worth to you, and can you buy it?
$1 million.
$7,000? Would you pay $7,000?
You know, I don't know if I would personally, but
you know, for a 25-year-old woman, it's not necessary. But I think for women who have been out there for a long time and they have found that it's just going to become increasingly difficult. And the reason why they are where they are is because they sacrifice those years for education or for work to elevate themselves to a certain level. That now, the people that I think that they would be attracted to are successful, independent people. And so how do you find those? Especially if all you're doing is working anyways. I mean, you built this career up and you're working crazy hours.
yeah,
And if you've
and
exhausted
maybe
all your
that's-
friends
I
and
was
your
just gonna say,
family
maybe that is
and the
way
dating
that-
services.
Maybe that is the way. So for people who are not for the sake of making the same income bracket as someone else,
I think they're trying
there's other things that go with that. Obviously, maybe education or maturity,
Interest.
multi-factor.
Or is it even necessary? Because when you put in your criteria through Lab of Life or Just Lunch, they probably ask you questions like, what do you do? What are you looking for a potential mate to do as well?
Yeah.
And they're not going to put you on a date with a street sweeper.
Sure.
You know.
Of course.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if he looks like Rock Hudson or Tom
That
Cruise.
might not
He
be
looks
good.
like Tom Cruise and he sweeps.
Or George Clooney.
George Clooney.
You can get used to that.
Our cameraman looks like George
I'll be cutting
Clooney.
this film.
I didn't see that.
Flirting with the cameraman.
The funny thing is, Drew is flirting with the cameraman.
I'm flirting with the
As usual. Don't worry, Carmen.
All right, I can take it.
Where were we?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, George Clooney. All good.
Does it matter what they do?
Yeah, not really.
Not them.
Because a very attractive man isn't necessarily a good mate.
It's not necessarily good
Good
fit.
mate or fit. Yeah. So it could be a gorgeous man who is a street sweeper for whatever reason makes him happy.
What were you looking for before you found me?
I was looking for
Good question. Age brackets. Did you have criteria?
Yeah.
Yeah.
had to be over 30.
Have to be okay. Wait, you were 30.
Which I was at this time.
You were too. You were 33. Or 32 even when I met you. Oh yeah. You're 25. Now you're 32. No, I was very attractive when 30. 30.
narrowed it down.
What about that person's career? Did it matter?
No.
Did not matter. Oh, interesting.
Big joke.
Okay. Just. Ay, ay, ay.
Not on tape.
Yeah, lovely. He's just trying to be cool in front of the camera.
Yeah, I was wheeling, man. Did I say the right one thing? Word?
Hey, old man.
Yeah, no. I determined that the key to success was volume. And so I was determined to work volume, and went
It
through.
became very expensive.
Oh, very expensive and tiresome because there's a lot of duds out there. Yeah, attractive women otherwise, but just sit there. I remember, it's like eating glass sometimes. And also the other thing with I found very tricky dating women is that you had to be very careful on how far anything went on anything because there was expectations set very quickly. And so if you didn't want to have
You didn't want to have a second date.
you didn't want to have a second date, or if you didn't want to have, it was very easy to, it's a slippery slope, and suddenly there's this expectation of a relationship, which I didn't want necessarily. And so you had to be very, you had to keep your distance. If you realized this wasn't going anywhere, you had to keep your distance so there'd be no expectation this was going anywhere. And to extend that even further, a lot of guys would love to, bed the woman that night, so like one night stand type thing. And bedding in
Really? Even if there's no chemistry, there's no nothing.
A lot of guys go
They'll
out to
just-
get laid, for sure. It's getting really heated now. For sure. A lot of guys do. But one of the things that I started realizing, you need too much information from it, is if that happens, there's so much baggage and so much attachment and so much that it's not worth it.
Speaking, of course, not from experience.
No. Indirect experience. But no.
Friend told us.
No, it's true. If you sleep with a woman and you don't have, you're
And
not
vice
sure you want to keep it,
versa.
or vice versa. The stuff that it becomes so complicated so quickly that you're better not. Well, at least in my opinion, you're better not to. And so you're better not to sleep on a first date, but just literally push that longer. So anyway, the volume thing didn't work at all. I found the volume thing was tiresome. It was interesting to meet a lot of different people, but I just
Were you meeting them at lunches? Just lunch? Or just dinners too? Okay. Is there?
Where did the volume come from?
This was a very short, intense period of time where I was just bound and determined to go through volume. And I just picked up the phone. I just called people I'd met in business. I called people I'd encountered wherever. I
Randomly dialed. Hello. Are you single?
the guy that somebody I know.
Other name must not be married.
I would literally, every guy I met, I'd say, do you know any good-looking woman that's, available? And they'd go, yeah, most of them, I know somebody, and boom, they'd set up, and the date would be there. And they would never have met me, I would never have met them. And we just go.
Let's go.
And so it wasn't difficult, but you had to be bold about it. And I think the other thing is, I was the president of a software company at the time. It was, the internet was sexy. So when I was described, and then my picture was on the website, which apparently was used all the time. I was told all the time, everyone had my picture on the website, and so that's sort of.
Oh, you were using internet dating?
I was not, but
No.
my picture's on my company website at the time. So that's how they go back and check.
So
me
they
out.
just go and they download his picture and send it to their friends that might be interested. And
Yeah. So
it was
wasn't
actually a really
complete-
nice picture too.
Yeah, it really was deceiving.
So it wasn't such a blind date for them. Because
No,
they had a
that's right.
chance to take a look.
Or I had met them. So there's maybe a handful of blind dates, and then a bunch where I just. So I remember this lawyer was in her office a year prior, and I hadn't seen her a year, but I remember thinking she was attractive. I called her up and said, I don't know if you remember me, but I was here and you were there. Love to take you to dinner. She said, okay. So it was that easy. But and so she ends up being the ditziest lawyer I've ever met. Like just unbelievably shallow and odd. And so you go through enough of that.
Can I ask you something then? So when you're in these situations, because I hate this part of it where you've gone out the first time,
Yeah, I'm not
you
very good
don't
at that.
have that connection.
No,
What
I
do you
was-
do?
I was pretty shitty at that.
What do you do?
I ignore them.
Yeah. Well, Drew and I were talking about this, about your experience, and how do you let somebody down easily?
I
And
want
Drew comes out, this is what you should do.
What?
And it's all these pearls of wisdom
No, he's good. I know.
spewing
He's-
from his
listen,
mouth.
you know, I
and I was like,
really
did you
enjoy-
ever do that? And he goes, no, I just
I was
ignore
chicken.
them.
Was it
Oh,
the
what
50
is
ways?
this?
50 ways?
The bus, Gus.
No, what I said is,
You check out your
It's
name.
not good advice, though. if you
I
wanna
really-
listen.
Just throw your shoe, Drew.
no, we were talking about that, and I thought gave a very reasoned answer, which is, you know, listen, I had a great time with you, but I don't, and if you want to get together, no, sorry, I didn't say it. I had a great time with you, but I don't think there's any opportunity romantically. So, you know, I think it's probably best we don't see each other again.
Would you say this over the phone? Like this is a
No.
second meeting? Or
This is me
the
telling you
first-
what you should do. Then we looked at what I had done, and I realized I never did that once. I said, really, when I think about it, it's way too scary doing that, and I just don't call them. Because you don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Exactly, and that's exactly what my sister was saying. She goes, Cal, people get it. When you don't call back, people get it. And because that's happened to me a couple of times, you know, you remember that feeling. And you know, you think, you know, whoever likes that kind of a feeling.
But when do you know when it's not going to happen?
Well, apparently, according to it's
So the
just
first 30
lunch,
seconds.
apparently for guys, it's within the first 15 minutes. 1-5. They didn't say for women though. They didn't have an actual number. But
Okay,
would you agree?
But what's wrong?
Within the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
15 minutes? Yeah. I think similar. Well, maybe for a gal a little bit longer, but
I would say that
Certainly that
you can
day.
figure out in 15 minutes if there's a possibility of this going forward. Like, you can see if the traction is there on all
yeah,
different
sure,
levels.
sure.
But it takes longer to really often for that attraction to be there.
But if you didn't have that attraction, that
No.
physical attraction,
The 15 minutes you can tell whether it's something you're interested in.
Sure. I think for the gal too.
But Cal, what's wrong with telling a guy after a date, not the next day when he calls you?
should get a scorecard.
Why can't you just tell him?
Everyone needs their scorecard.
That's a 4 and 10, and I'll tell you why if you're interested.
No, follicles, you don't have a lot. Sorry, you got a 1 on that. You already need
Yeah, on the
that,
other
but I
side
want
is
you
the
to-
ratings.
You sweat a lot.
Is it
Profuse.
too difficult to tell them that night? I had a really good time.
It is, because it's
I don't-
devastating for a guy,
Yeah.
for a woman to say, and especially if you're attracted, for a woman to say, well, thanks, but I don't want to ever see you again, and you go, oh, what's wrong with me now? You know, for the
You think
9
so?
millionth time.
You think,
yeah.
like-
I mean, and the
You're
truth
like,
is, I think
this
it's
is
better.
fountain of women, and you're gonna be all broken down. You know, there's 3-1.
What about the old?
No.
It's not you, it's
Really?
me. I'm not
Well, if you
ready.
keep getting it, keep getting rejection.
Well, if you get
No, that's
rejection
not
like day in, day out, you're probably
How's
screwed.
this one?
I think clarity is the best.
I mean, that happened to you, Drew. I
What?
mean, you didn't get rejection, did you?
No, I was definitely on the aggressive side of it all the time. So
So you were always getting rejected.
no, I was no.
He
No.
was
You
the
were doing
rejecter.
rejecting.
He was doing all
Yeah,
the
you were doing
rejecting.
like you were shooing.
But it wasn't.
Okay, I have a story about Drew.
cat-
Oh, good.
I have a story about Drew. So I worked.
That's a.
He's zooming in.
Shucks, run a tape.
Zooming in. I was working for Leo Burnett, the advertising company, and I went out for lunch with 2 women and one of my colleagues, and we were chatting about men and how difficult it is to find men. And I'm in a relationship, and my colleague's in a relationship. The other 2.
My hair look nice?
Yes.
As always. What are you on day 6 of filming? We've been doing this on Saturday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 6. Things are better. The weather's picked up. The subjects are coming in droves. We're networking through some subjects, other subjects. We got firefighters. We got lesbians. We got Indian women from convenience stores. We got people, bookstores. It's better now. I am?
Yeah. What,
Whatever.
so where do you feel this film is going?
I said it before that to you, Robert, that I think if we were to have like a film professor tell us where to go next, they'd say you have to focus, because we definitely have too broad of a scope. And I'm kind of gonna try to stuff it towards that manufacturing attraction theme as best I can. To keep sort of coaching it towards the automation and the scientific nature of how things are going. And I think the most important thing is we need a nice strong thesis, or we need to do enough experimentation to come up with one. So far I haven't hit on like some great universal truth outcome to all this automation. Maybe it just is what it is, We'll see.
Oh, sure. Well, I taught for. Oh, yeah. I've got 5 degrees, but lots of relationships, and the fact that I met you two this morning was an interesting interaction that intrigues me, and the fact that are you recording this? Oh, and yeah.
We'll just record the point which one knows the camera.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Yeah, I've done enough, but yeah, I know what you do. Right. I taught for about 30 years in the field of learning theory, and since you're emphasizing relationships, had lots of relationships not only on campus with faculty associates, but also with students and the people that counsel them. And I've done a lot of counseling in my career, and so I'm intrigued by the kind of theme that I think you're devising, and the fact that we met this morning casually, it turns out you people are doing some things that I've been interested for some time.
So what made you interested?
Well, because the human nature being what it is and indefinable in many ways, that I'm intrigued by relationships and what happens when people, have joint kinds of meetings and similarities and interests. And I belong to about 5 churches, so I meet all kinds of people there, and we have all kinds of interaction. And I deal with seniors groups, and I try to help seniors who are another generation beyond you. And I find them fascinating, and not many people in gerontology make much interest in seniors. They do physiologically, but not psychologically, because I don't think we know enough about seniors and how they interact. And there's a lot of interaction that goes on with seniors, as you might suspect.
So what are some of the problems that seniors are struggling with when it comes to like the relations between men and women?
Well, because as they grow and they lose their spouse, they then seek some other companionship, and they go to seniors groups. I belong to about 4 bridge groups, and we have interaction when we're playing bridge and during the coffee times, and then they have special. I should take you to the Naval Club down at Young and Henley. We have every Saturday the bridge meeting that seniors are at, as well as the younger people. But do you have a Naval Club in Boston? I suppose you would, eh?
Probably is, but I've never been to it.
Yeah. Yeah, you should get to see them, because they're, if I understand your interest, relationships start with common interests. If you have something as common as computers or software or documentaries or even playing bridge, you seem to like any relationship. Once you hit something that's in common with the interacting people, then you get familiar with them, and you have similar kinds of interests, and that leads to I go to the theater a lot, and movies, of course, and now that we have DVDs, I get a lot of them, and we have them in a little group. I just bought a little portable DVD player, and I show people in little groups of 4, 6, 8 movies. And so when you find items that are common and of interest to individuals, that builds up a little familiarity and builds up the interest of having relationships, and that leads to visiting people, having coffee or a little bite together and so on.
And I think that Are seniors starting to take advantage of the same tools that the younger generation's taking advantage of?
No, because they're technophobes. They weren't brought up with these. Luckily, I've been on computers for about 14 years, so I have no fear of learning about DVDs and the software that you're familiar with. And I'm on the internet. I'm addicted to the internet. I have to admit it. And I try to get the seniors that I know to get interested in, because there's such a wealth of information on the internet. And the two or three that are interested in the internet, we get along very well because we explore NASA and the Hubble, and I'm into medicine and physiology and psychology and so on. But the people who aren't into that, I have to stick with the local politics, and that's what makes us common friends and have relationships.
Have you found that a lot of seniors are dating? Or actually dating each other?
No, that's why they go to the clubs. They're reluctant to strike up relationships on the dating theme. But a lot of them come to these clubs playing bridge and euchre and line dancing and so on, where they can have an interaction with other seniors.
And so you're also studying psychology
Yes.
and learning theory. What sort of things did you come across when you were studying and learning theory? I'm curious about that.
In terms of relationships?
In your work,
Yeah.
in your relationship. Yeah, in terms of how it might relate to, dating or meeting people.
Well, a lot of people don't look at the theories that lead up to things like dating, what you're talking about, interrelationships. And if I talk to them about, I think so-and-so is interested in you, she's mentioned that you're handsome or you're pretty, they seem to get a little uneasy. Whereas I think in their younger years, they would have been excited and want to meet the person that made that remark. But I personally try to keep them friendly and make sure I get them introduced to the individual they're talking about. Because someone comes in from the club, a new person, they don't know them. So you've got to interact with them and let them meet these people. A lot of them are reluctant because they haven't been brought up to be open and friendly. You see, you two being younger, you immediately caught up. I noticed how pleasant and enthusiastic you were. Seniors are a little reluctant now because I think many of them don't trust people. They've learned over life that you can be trusting, but then be betrayed. So those experiences, in a way, characterize their behavior.
So you think people learn certain things during life?
Wow, lots of things. If you're open-minded. For example, when I try to get my friends interested in the internet and so on, as I said, a lot of them are reluctant, and yet there's so much on the internet and so much they could learn. And I always try to find out what is it that interests them. If it's gardening, there's all kinds of things to look up. If it's nutrition, I can give them all websites that they can look at. But they've got to be interested in the first place. Most of them would say, I can't learn that. And I said, but if you go into the library and a 6-year-old is at the computer, are you telling me you can't learn what that 6-year-old is learning? And I try to be as comfortable with them as possible and what they can learn. Because learning is exciting.
Do you think people can learn how to socialize with each other better?
Oh, very much so. Well, because you have a common interest. Well, for example, I have friends that are interested in, as I said, nutrition. So you're always getting things on the news about such and such is better for you, and in the case of men with the prostate and so on, the cancer and so on. If I find out something new, I have to tell them personally and see them. But if they were on the internet, I give them websites and they can go and look it up on their own and link into other websites. But I'm sure your parents on the computers at home? Yeah, they are, right? Okay, and their age range is 50 to 60 to 70? Yeah. So have they always been technophiles?
I'd My mom might not have been as good as my dad. My dad's a scientist, so
Yeah, but is she also into the internet too?
she is now.
Okay, and is she glad? Oh, it took her a while.
Now she's ramped up.
Yeah, and how did you get her? Well, not you, but how did
That's
she
with
get
my
her?
father. She had everything all set up, and she slowly got engaged with using the tools.
And does your dad? What's his sound? What's his field?
He studies molecular biology.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, is he still
He's a still
practicing?
professor.
Okay, and where is he at?
He's an MIT.
MIT. Did you go to MIT too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good reputation.
So, do you remember back to when you were single?
I sure do.
What was it like then?
Well, of course, besides all the, as I found, weaknesses that I thought I had, nobody would appreciate me as an individual. And then as I grew older and got a little better educated and met more people, I realized they had some of the failings that I had. So when I approached them, I'd be a little more comforting and a little more supportive, because people need that. They need to be encouraged.
So how did you go about meeting people?
Well,
You were
of course,
single at the time.
yes. Well, of course, at the time I was with the Catholic Church, so we'd go to their Friday night dances. I joined the YMCA, so I met a lot of people. And of course, I was at the university, so I joined a couple of the clubs at the university, debating clubs, chess clubs, bridge clubs. So I automatically learned some skills. As I met you two this morning and saw the camera, I knew you'd be interested in some aspects of photography. And now that digital photography is so important, you learn as you move along. You learn the new ideas, the new techniques. And I'm always reading journals and magazines to find out what's the latest. How did you learn digital photography?
We just picked up the equipment and started working. We have some magazines and some books.
Yeah,
You know,
it's an exciting technology. Yes, but it's an exciting technology, isn't it?
the best thing about it is it's inexpensive. So you
And-
can make mistakes.
You're right.
And quickly learn from your mistakes.
When I brought a camera today, I brought my digital camera because I wanted to get a couple of flashcards. And what I find exciting, and I can't seem to convince my senior friends, they still think film is the best way to go. And I keep telling them, I can look at the pictures, and if I don't like it, I delete it. And if I want it printed, I can do it either at home or go to what we call Blacks here in Toronto. They can print it immediately with the flashcard. They seem to find it overwhelming. They can't believe what I tell them.
So what do you think the effect of all this technology that makes things disposable has had on people?
Well,
People that you know.
yeah,
how they
well,
relate to each other.
the older people can't believe that things are disposable. I read the other day, I get the Wall Street Journal every day. Did you know they've got now disposable cars? Well, because the repairs to cars are so expensive. And I thought of this about 3 years ago. We have disposable cups and disposable items. Why not a disposable car? Take out the motor and the transmission and replace it with a new body. So they're doing that now because, as I say, repairs are getting so expensive.
But do you think that do you think people of an older generation have a different approach to their personal relationships?
I think so because they've learned so much, and most of them have been betrayed, and they thought they could trust people, but it turned out these people they trusted, friends and so on, let them down. So they're very guarded.
Do you think that's common to all people of all time?
I think so.
Or is it just one generation?
No, I think it happens all the time. And as you age, you develop some more questionable skills.
What would be a questionable skill?
Well, the fact that you can embrace someone or hug someone, well, seniors don't do that much of that, you know. Your generation is doing a lot more of it. In fact, we have someone that visited this week. She's called the Hugging Saint. She's from India, and she's given out 24 million hugs. And anybody I know that knows her and her work, they're, to me, a lot more upbeat, a lot more amenable to spiritual things, whereas the seniors I know, they're a little guarded.
So you think it's good for people to be more open?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The positive thing is what?
Well, that you can develop and learn to like people and learn to trust them better. A lot of seniors are very guarded. If you observe them, they're very reluctant. A handshake is about as far as they'll go in the first meeting, whereas there's this hugging saint. She hugs them all the time. And I see these people then hugging other people, which is a good way of establishing a relationship, because it's a body-on-body contact.
I don't know how much more. I didn't have a
But the disposable society does that apply to relationships? Because with disposing of material goods, are we disposing of our human relationships as well?
Well, I think we'd have to have a research study to come up with a definitive answer. My answer, speculatively, is no. I think once you get to know people as a senior, because you've lost a spouse and you've lost friends and so on, they want to establish and encourage relationships. That's what I find among the clubs that I join.
So it hasn't carried over to people.
Well, at the moment, I don't think so. At the moment, but who knows? This hugging saint. When I tell people about this one, she's as I said, she's well known for her grabbing anybody and everybody. Everybody she meets, she hugs. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wish I had brought the article. I left it in my briefcase. I would have given it to you. I left it if I had only thought. I never thought you'd be asking that.
Find her around the internet.
Okay.
She's like 8 million people.
Yeah. Well, sure. She's called the Hugging Saint. Yeah.
So, what's your advice to the younger generation? Do you feel that they should do the clubs you mentioned, playing bridge or other social activities? Is that the best way for young people to meet each other?
I think the more they can interact, the more they'll get to trust people. I have some friends that have known them for 60, 70 years. Only because I met them as a younger person, I trusted them. We had common interests. And once I talked to a lot of juniors, high school seniors and so on, I find that unless they're talking about sports or gaming or the, what do you call that, Microsoft Xbox, is it what, yeah. So they only have a limited number of themes or topics. And once you hit those, they're interested in you. But if you talk to them, for example, about relationships and so on, I find, well, they just haven't had enough experience. So they don't know enough about it.
So the advice would be
Interact as much as you can when you're in your youth. And learn that people can be trusted. You know.
And to keep a longer relationship, like lifelong friendships.
Oh, I would hope so. Yes. And basically, for example, what incited me about you two is your interest in digital photography. Because I saw it about 6 or 7 years ago as a dynamic technological breakthrough. And I can't seem to persuade a lot of my friends who take pictures but aren't into digital photography. And I think that's a shame. And DVDs and so on. I have a DVD rewriter, on my computer, so that I'm doing all kinds of things. I'm taking films and I'm putting them on DVDs, so I can show them. I can send them to my friends.
And since you spend a lot of time on the internet, have you met people on the internet in chat rooms or various forums?
Yeah. My first experience was the language. It was so coarse and rude. And the topics they were talking about did not interest me in the least. They were talking about rock stars and the music of the rock group and all the interests that young people have. I'm beyond that stage. I'd be more philosophical and psychological and wanting to know about, as I said, astronomy and nutrition and health. and so on. But so these younger people who took the chat rooms as kind of an exciting exploration, I was more interested in the ideas, not just the technology.
So maybe you weren't in the right channel or the right room.
You're right.
Where there have been a different age group, different interests.
Yeah. Well, for me it is because I'm seeking out older people. On the internet, they don't generally go by age. If they said, did you want people 50 plus? Then I'd lock into those rooms. But they haven't gotten those yet. You look at the news groups, they take the topics. You know, they'll take sports or they'll take politics or something like that. If they did it by age, then I think I'd be talking to my contemporaries. Oh, hi. My contemporaries, yeah. But I'm interested in younger people. You people are interesting. I mean, I'm intrigued by it, yeah. But the ones that I've met, the juniors and so on, once they tell me what music group they like and what sports they're interested in, I understand. They just haven't had enough experience.
What we say, my name is,
Yeah.
your name, I would say, I give you
Yeah, it's Professor Peter Wilson, Wilson, and I'm giving you authorization to use, having seen the material, to use for what you think you might find useful and significant for your documentary.
Where are we, Robert?
Young and Eglinton.
We're at Young and Eglinton. Where are you? Where? Maybe you should talk to Robert because he's better with the local geographies. So 1 second.
Yep.
Good sound? All right. Still?
It's a perfect place, man. Nice and secluded.
So what's your current situation with women? What's the deal?
Just on right now, yeah.
Should be.
I have a girlfriend right now, and she's in France. And I work in a bank. I just get presented with multiple opportunities.
So what do you do about that?
You know, I guess in life, most enjoyable thing is a pursuit. So, you know, as long as I got this pursuit conquered, I'm good to go. So that kind of fulfills what I need in that struggle to survive.
So do you have a strategy?
Not really a strategy, it's just like, you know, you enjoy the pursuit, but eventually when you get, you know, conquer this pursuit, I don't think it's as entertaining as, you know, striving for this goal.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about?
Of women? Of ladies? Quite a few ladies.
Quite a few? Tens, hundreds, thousands?
Probably like quite a few. 20, 10.
So you juggle them all at the same time?
Not so much. No. I'm pretty like, I let my kind of pacify my urges, so I've been pretty quite good. But before I was with a girlfriend, I was kind of out of control.
Describe like what it's like being out of control.
It's just like not ever being satisfied with one thing, you know, finishing one thing, going on to the next, into the next, into the next, into the next.
Yeah.
Until it's just like, it's like an insatiable yearning kind of thing. I think women are beautiful. That's about all it is, dude. So it's like, never really being happy towards exactly what you have. The grass is always greener.
Do you think it's a modern thing or just
I think it's a modern thing, never being satisfied. Like womanizing, or, you know, never being satisfied. think it's a new concept, but I think it's been a lot more prevalent in today.
Why do you think so?
It's just like all about immediate wins, for one. And once you accomplish this win, at least for me, the satisfaction's mostly drawn out of it.
Give me an example. Like,
Well, the
beginning band-
pursuit, you know. if
Beginning
I'm-
band, like something specific, not a name, but like, you know, pull it together. Beginning band. You can make it up. Whatever.
No, I
Someone
have
paints a picture.
definitely have some stories I can tell. But you know what? As weird as it is, it's the exact same situation that unfolds every single time. You know what? It's like some spicy food.
Do you want to trade like some of the curry for some of the tandoori, or do you want to just eat tandoori?
Same difference, I guess. Do you want to grab some?
I just figured like let's split it all up so we can share. Stuck you eating tandoori.
To get back to it,
So you're saying it's like the same story.
it's the exact same story, man. I meet a girl. I'm not really so much interested. And it's just a ridiculous mentality. That's why I'm finally content, is if, you know, society's dawned on this horrible mentality of never being satisfied with what they have. So let's say, you know, I'm not interested in girl's interested in me. Because I'm not interested in girl makes, you know, herself making me even more interested in me in that situation. So then ultimately what happens is I either sleep with girl or I sleep with girl, one of the two options, and then I never speak to her again. It's like a Black Widow, man. I don't know.
How do you feel about it though?
Oh, it's horrible. But it's like, not satisfied. You'll never be satisfied not wanting to be content. So, I'm finally content, which is nice.
So it's all changed around.
Yeah.
Good.
It's just a different attitude. It's just one general mind frame is just so prevalent in this city.
What are your friends like?
Same difference. Mostly. Most of my friends are not from this city, for one. But it's like a grocery store, man. There's just such a high turnover in this city.
What do you think? Women are playing the same game as men? Do you think men are
Well,
playing a game?
it
and women are sort of
wouldn't be existent if, you know, if they both were involved in something like that. But it's just so ridiculous. A lot of my, like, depending, a lot of my friends, long-term girlfriends, some of them the exact same as me. Just never satisfied with what they got, what they have. So,
What do you think? Why do you think you're not satisfied? Like, what's the reason? Would you be satisfied some other time, or
It's a hard
just like
question.
what you're getting?
it's a hard question to answer, but the ladies are making, in a certain extent. I don't know. I can't stereotype that, but it's just this ridiculous game that ensues. Like technology, man. You always want the newer, the best, the better thing. Just keeps on rolling over. rolling over. So
Do you think technology has something to do with it?
maybe it's just general's like people's general attitude that it's like advertising. You know, always try to pump you out the next, the better thing, and it's just there's so much sex appeal going on in advertising these days that it's just like, man, this chick isn't looking like that on that billboard, that Calvin Klein lady. What the fuck am I doing? So
you're disappointed with the difference between what you're right.
subconsciously, I'm sure everyone is. Subconsciously, I think everyone wants to do better.
What do you find, like, whenever you change, you do better? Or do you
Not a question of doing better. It's finding a better fit, maybe. Your perception, whatever your perception is, you know, it varies from person to person. Their surroundings, their attitudes, their environment. But definitely someone has this notion that's been ingrained in their head. But it's that continuous rollover, you know. I'm content with what I have, but why is there something new always coming out that I want?
Would you use any, like, the tools that are out there? Like the internet and
No.
chatting and all that stuff?
No.
You don't bother with that?
I think it's really like creepy.
Yeah.
It's just like,
So all you gotta do is go outside.
well,
It's all just attitudes.
it like really disturbs me. It's just like globalization at its worst.
Right?
It's just making society like super impersonal, I think. And you're just like, your secret, you know, your identity is just hid behind this box. Bunch of kooks, man. I don't have patience for that. It's actually pretty funny. At work, I was dealing with a client, and they came in, and just talking to them for a few moments about. One of the individuals said she works at a internet dating company. I was just like, you know, that's really, really strange, man. I think it's supernatural. Just disagree with it fully. It's just like, that's so strange because this is where we met. They got married, and it's just like so embarrassing. But now you're finding so many more and more people are meeting on these things that, you know, you're hooked on your cell phone, you're hooked on like the computer. This is how you're meeting people, but it's just supernatural, I found. Can't you just go and talk to someone?
Well, you do though, right?
Absolutely, man. I have no other choice.
So you're just picking up people at the bank? Is that the place?
Wherever I work,
wherever it
yeah.
happens? It's usually at work.
Wherever the case, everywhere. I like talking to people.
So you just introduce yourself to people?
Yeah, if they want to or they don't want to know, yeah, for sure. It's just going into a situation expecting nothing. And if you get something, man, all the power to you.
So how'd you meet your girlfriend?
The place where I work. We started talking to her. And it was just from then on. We just started hanging out. We got to be pretty good friends.
Were you going out with a lot of people at the same time?
I
Better?
Yeah, I think I was juggling like a couple, maybe like 3, but nothing like. I'll never be entrenched in something. You know what I mean? I'm never like having a relationship with someone, but
Yeah.
I'll be talking to a few ladies. Ladies.
Where do you see it all going for you?
What?
Like your life?
My
Your
life.
life, your personal life?
Straight to hell.
Straight to hell? A couple years from now, 5 years from
I'm very content with what I have right now, so we'll see how it pans out.
now? Yep.
We'll see how it goes. Like I just knew that chair is really strange.
So you've settled down then? Like you're basically like a married man?
I don't know about that, but I'm content. Pretty content with what I have right now.
I think you've overcome the whole. You got to move on to the next bigger, better thing.
Well, it's just like, no, absolutely not. And that's just like, you know, so to a certain extent, it's just a bud of self-improvement, whether it be beneficial or not. But I'm kind of tired. Exactly, it was a huge press. For an Asian woman too. She kept that. Wow.
Are those real?
I don't think so. You know what? Don't even care. Don't even care, man. Some fine apple juice.
So, what do you think about like the player personality? Do you know these guys? Are you one of these guys?
No. I don't know if you're talking. No, I know. Oh, God, no. I think I'm too skinny and white, unfortunately. I have no interest.
So, how would you describe yourself? Like personality-wise?
No, I'm a friendly person, and then, you know, whatever comes my way.
How do you think people refer to you?
Oh, God.
What you got? Someone was to say, hey, he's my friend Michael. He's what?
Hopefully a friendly, nice, semi-neurotic individual. No. I think I'm a very, very friendly, nice person.
Cool.
I don't want to incriminate myself anymore and go further with that, but I'll just say friendly, nice person.
Nothing wrong with incriminating yourself. Doesn't be shown in Boston. I love this shirt.
Oh, thanks, man.
Congrats. You've been to Maryland, right?
Yeah. Uncle's from Maryland.
How was that thing?
It's a little Doberman. Savage.
So your girlfriend's in Paris or something? You're not here? That's gotta be a pain.
Oh, it's the best relationship I've ever had. Ever. I'm not smothered. You know what? She doesn't bother me. I don't bother her. We talk consistently, but it's just like such a perfect relationship. She's coming down in a couple of weeks for like a month and a half.
So is it like an open relationship?
No, I'm super content with her, and it's just I have no interest really, you know, to be bothered. It's really hard for me to be accountable for someone else. I have a pretty busy schedule, so it's a perfect relationship. I have a safe distance across the sea, and that's about it.